Welcome to another episode of the River Run podcast. I am your host, Adam Fraser, and I welcome you to another episode. What is going on? It is always great to be back in the seat. Man, I'm loving this. I'm digging it. I put some new stuff up on the wall. Paddle and fin, little KBF for all of you out there. Yeah, buddy of mine at work did me a solid. So yeah, trying to keep this podcast cool, I guess. I don't know. I'm always down for decorating, making my set, I guess you could say. So what's going on here? Like, it's September already, and you know what September means? Fall's here and the fall bite is going to begin. Get excited. Why? Time to catch big fish. Well, I don't know. I'm gonna try to. I'm pretty good at catching dinks, but at the same time, yeah, it's one of those things. You go out there and you try, and you get those really feisty little guys, and they're just like nibbling, taking everything you got. I don't know, but then you get those big ones, the ones that you go to set the hook and you feel it, and you're like, yes, it's all worth it. I finally conquered it. I hope you all have that success. I really do. But at the same time, I have to say, I'm excited because my guest tonight, Remi Keroack is one of the, I don't know, I would say you will know him only because he's Team Brothers Fishing ambassador. He's also a KBC ambassador. That is the Kayak Bass Canada ambassador, and for Quebec. And it's really cool because Quebec is like, well, for me, I'm like 20 minutes from the Quebec border. I fish Quebec. I fish the St. Lawrence River on the Quebec side. I've fished multiple other little spots, and honestly, Quebec is fantastic. If you want to get a fishing license for a day, you can do that too. You could buy a year one. But no, Team Brothers has a really cool platform that they use and format, and that part is I'll be honest with you, I'm getting excited to dive into this. But before we dive into this, I do want to say that don't forget Dubro Fishing, our good friends over at Dubro. Brian Schiller, he's hooking us all up. You know what he's doing? He's giving us the promo code. That's right. That is run 10, save 10. Use it. The Do More Utility Cup is there. Go get yourself one. Put all your cool stuff in it. Stop stepping on those crankbaits and getting them stuck in your flip-flops. I hate that. I hate it. Or like my boundary boots, you step on a jerk bait, or the worst. And then you gotta sit there and like trying to, no, not fun. But Dubro Fishing, they're just trying to help us out. So use the promo code on the site. So another thing, at the same time, have you ever gone and like looked at your tackle and been like, how did it get this bad? Like, I go out and I'm like, I have like 3600 planos. One's got hooks in it, one's got trouble baits and moving baits in it, and then I have another one that has a little bit of mix of like swim baits and whatever. I gotta say, like, I look at some of my stuff and I'm like, how have I acquired this? Oh, I know how I acquired this. I want to, it's my own fault, but YouTube's good for that. You're like, oh yeah, I just saw that video and that dude, oh, yeah, I've done it. But like, how do you simplify your fishing? Like I'll be honest with you. I acquired the 13x16. I probably could get away with the 13x13 on the back of my Jackson Bite FD. Yeah, it's I don't know. I guess I'm very simple that way. And, even the amount of rods that I bring out, like I'm probably like 2 to 4, like I've really just nailed this down. I like simple. Do you like simple? I don't know. Let me know down below. Another thing, uh, be mindful when you're out there on the water. If you haven't, get yourself like a high vis flag, be visible on the water. As much as us kayak anglers are out there, there's a lot of boats out there. There's a lot of people. We're getting into the fall season too. So, there's going to be guys out there duck hunting, goose hunting, whatever. The waterways are still going to be busy. So make sure you've done the necessary. You have a light, you got a high vis flag, you're visible. Like that's the most important thing. Another thing before I bring on my guest is, did you see the color schemes at Jackson? Wow, it is awesome. Black Widow, this guy right here. I love it. Absolutely love that red black. So yeah, coming up, I think my next, I love Playa. I love Playa. I love that color, but that Black Widow color, that thing's money. And then like an Akusa X or like a U-Pick. I could have fun with that. I could have which I don't know if you've seen the new colors. Check them out. JacksonKayakFishing.com. Jackson Kayak Fishing is on the socials. You know where to find them. Facebook, Instagram. Check them out. Drop them down in the description if you've seen the new color schemes. Which one do you like? Because I'm all about the Black Widow. But yeah, so at the end of the day, I think one of the best fall baits, in my opinion, it works for me. So is the spinner bait. I love the spinner bait, and I tell you, I don't throw it much during the rest of the year. When it comes to the fall, spinner baits, topwater poppers, those are my two. Get a little colder, maybe get into the jerkbait season. But yeah, no. What's your favorite fall bait? Let me know. So without further ado here, we got to bring on the one and only Remi Keroack. Remi, what's going on?
Nothing much, man. Very honored to be on this show. I've watched a couple, and to be received by yourself with such notable names as Drew Gregory and a lot of other guys that I've seen on your podcast. That the names just like don't come up to me right now, but it's an honor to be here, man.
You know what? And dude, I am so pumped that you're here. And you know what? I'll tell you this. And a lot of these guys, like even like Drew Gregory, Jeff Little,
Yeah.
those are some pretty influential people in the kayak community. Chuck Earls is another one. Wade Clements from Yak Attack, all
Yeah.
amazing people. But they're just people who are just as passionate as we are about the community of kayak fishing, about the sport of kayak fishing, and their level has, what they've done is really, their success is quite notable. And I think at the same time, within Canada alone, like there are a lot of people who have brought in the sport to what it is today. And it's like people like yourself who take that time to help promote and bring that camaraderie of the sport together. Those are the people I want to talk to. Like as great as it's to talk to people who've, you just won the classic, and it is cool. Like, don't get me wrong, like Antoine, like there's a guy right there, a fellow Quebecer too, who look what he's doing. He's putting Canada on the map, and he's putting Quebec, like he's letting everybody else know. It's amazing, and I think that's the part which makes this is the part of podcast stuff I like. I like sitting down. I like hearing people's stories, and I like positivity. Like, as much as, people enjoy talking about lures and rods and reels and whatnot, I like talking about, the community aspect
Yeah.
of it. That aspect where, you take time, you're there's selfish and then there's selfless people. And you're somebody who's really put that in place, being, you do a lot for a lot of people, and your organizations that you are representing, it is notable, how much positivity you bring to your community and the sport of kayak fishing across Canada. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I appreciate that a lot coming from you, man. I got to know you a couple of years ago, and fished a couple of events together. And
Yeah.
you've always been somebody I looked up to, and you're always been somebody who's been giving back to the sport as well. So I'm very honored to be here, man.
Well, you know what, and the River Run podcast, that's it's a kayak fishing podcast, and like I said, I enjoy sitting down and talking. So, without further ado, here,
Sure.
I'll let you do a quick introduction of yourself for the folks who might not know you, but I'm sure right now there's probably more than enough of them who are charming into all this and being like, "Oh my gosh, it's Remi,"
I very much doubt that, but so my name is Remi Keroack. I'm from Montreal, Quebec. Um, Ambassador pro staff for Team Brother Fishing, which is a fishing club in Quebec, a kayak fishing club, and Quebec ambassador for Kayak Bass Canada. Besides that, started fishing in a kayak 6 years ago, and fished pretty much all my life before that. Oh, there we go.
There we go. Now we're
Yeah,
matching.
now we're matching, yeah. And no, I've just like really love the community of kayak fishing, the camaraderie, and the just the people in there. You meet all kinds of people who have like $25,000 worth of equipment on their boat, and people who have barely $100 of equipment on their boat. And they all have the same passion. They all love what they're doing, and I love being a part of this community.
You brought up such a good point, dude, is that you just measured the passion not in dollar signs, because you, you know, there's a lot of people out there. And when I say kayak fishing, like, you don't necessarily have to jump into a Jackson. You don't
No,
need to go and buy a high end kayak. You don't need to go and get all the best electronics. You can still go out there in a boat that you purchased at your local Walmart, your local, Canadian Tire, or
sail.
Sale, and
Yep,
they carry a lot of great boats.
yep,
But you don't need that. Like, don't feel like you need that, because at the end of the day, like, when you can still get out there. It's like you can still go out fishing with a $30 Walmart fishing rod and still
yep,
catch fish, just like a $200 combo or a $400 combo.
yep.
You're gonna have the same connection. You're gonna catch a fish. It's your choice to how far you want to dive into it. And and
Exactly.
just like any angler who has I love tackle. So you could probably relate to me on that one.
Oh,
um
definitely.
it's easy to get carried away, and it's also, when you look back at it, and like, I've looked back at this like over the past 2 seasons, and I've said to myself, no word of a lie, I've said, Jesus, like, you have so much stuff, and like, what you go out there and you use what works, and yet you have all this stuff. And like, I remember going out there with like X amount of planos and bags of tackle, and it's like, now I have like this little carrier that I keep my tackle soft plastics in, maybe holds, like, I don't know, let's say like 15 bags of that, and then
Yeah,
three 3600 Plano Synergy boxes. And I usually go out with 2 to 4 rods. And it's like, I, and to me, that's what I enjoy. It's simple.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can go out and do that. You can go out and it just doesn't take much. Um, even though you have a beautiful blue sky,
Thank you.
but so I gotta ask you though, and like I ask a lot of my guests this, is that when it came to kayak fishing, what was it to you that drew you to it? Like, was it, the aspect of just getting out on the water, or were you kind of that guy that's like, oh, I've had a boat, but, or I didn't have a boat, but I didn't want to get a boat, but I did
Yeah.
the kayak canoe thing. So, yeah.
Well, for me, with a couple of my good friends from college that we're still friends today, and um, one of them bought a kayak for fishing a couple of years before I first did, and he was like, I wanted to go out with him, but and you never have the opportunity, and we didn't live in the same city, and then you look at the aspect of, well, let's buy a boat, and then, well, okay, well, who owns the boat, who can take it this weekend and everything like that. And I just realized, like, a kayak brings a lot more activity. I mean, you're not going to get in shape by kayaking and fishing, but you'll keep your shape by doing
Well,
it. And then, like, it just happened. I wanted to get and the story of my first kayak purchase is I just really wanted to get into the sport, and I was looking at different kinds of kayaks, and I established a budget, and then I went to a local kayak shop in Montreal, and I was talking to the guy there, and I really wanted a Pelican. That's what I wanted at that time, the Catch 120. And I
nice.
started talking to the guy, and he really asked me, like, how passionate I was about fishing and everything like that. And like, he upsold me a lot, and I ended up buying a Jackson, actually, my Kusa HD, and that was my first kayak that I had. Great kayak, I loved it, and I still have it.
What a game changer, eh?
Oh yeah,
I gotta say, it's funny because like I went down that same road where I was like, I had gotten these gift certificates and I ended up purchasing this Pelican Icon Angler 100. And I'm like
okay,
6'3". And I was like, oh, yeah, I'd like 10-foot kayak. Like, and it was the most throw and go thing I had. I had no clue what I was getting myself into. And it was sit on top. And then, you take it out a couple times or whatever. And then I ended up, like you said, meeting people who were actually like more into the sport, not people I just watched on YouTube, but like actually meet
yeah,
these people. And I had met a gentleman by the name of Roberto, and Roberto was quite an influence for me because he kind of like was my entrance to Jackson in that sense because I bought one of his boats and it was a Jackson Liska. And I remember going out there the first time and that difference of understanding that now, like, this is something I really want to get into. And it like you said, and I still have my Liska and I still take
yeah,
it out to this day. Like it's still my river boat. Like as much as my Bite FD, I love it, but my Liska will always have that spot. You know what I mean? And it's just like I don't know. It's a kind of it's a special thing now. You have another boat. You know what I mean? You
yeah,
that ability, and it's kind of a hard thing to just like, oh, do I? And so I still, like I said, it's still my buddy boat. It's still my river boat. It's still myself.
yeah.
You know, um, but the kayak community itself, like within Quebec,
Yeah,
that has to be like would you say it's growing significantly in the past couple of years?
I would say so. When I started 6 years ago, Team Brother Fishing existed. They had one tournament a year.
Well, that's
There
cool.
were there were other groups that tried to do tournaments as well. And 6 years ago is when I met for the first time Antoine Desrochers. It was the first time that I met him on a very little tournament. We hit it off. We've been friends ever since, and we try to fish together, but it's really hard. He's got a big schedule. I've got a big schedule. Um, but we talk occasionally, and but you meet so many people during these tournaments. I met well, you probably know him too, Mig Sig,
Yes.
that I'd met at that same tournament, the same time that I met Antoine. I met Mig Sig for the first time, and it's really like you realize you're brand new to the sport. You've never done a tournament. It's your first ever tournament that you're going to. You get there the night before, you sit around, people are sitting around a campfire, you sit down, people are offering you a beer,
Yep.
hey, you want a hot dog, you want something. And it's really it's really like it's a family. It's more than a camaraderie. It's a family, and that's what I love about this community is everybody talks to everybody. Of course, there's going to be bickering and everything like that, and
Fair enough.
that happens in every family, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what I really like about this community, and I've seen the boat community, and I find it's different. It's not bad, but it's not for me. And I found myself treading towards the kayak fishing community, and I wanted to get involved, and that's how I got to meet the guys from Team Brother Fishing, and eventually I met the guys from KBC.
Now, like for me, it's kind of the same thing. Like, you start to see like, and the reason I ask is my kayak fishing began actually in Quebec. I have a family cottage that I've been going to since I was a kid. And at that cottage, we've always had a boat, we've always had kayaks, we always had canoes. And I remember going out there, and I have to say that I looked at the kayak and I looked at the canoe and I said, you know what, maybe I'll take the canoe out. Let's try that. And I remember going out there, and it was pretty busy and it was pretty rocky. And anyways, I went out the following day and I tried this wilderness systems, and it was just like it made sense. Like
Yeah,
it was just like wow. And I remember being out there, and I don't think I ever crossed paths in the time I was out there. Not saying that there
mhm,
wasn't anybody else doing it, but when I was out there, I never crossed paths with anybody else kayak fishing. If there was another person, it was my uncle who came out with me.
yeah,
And now I go to the cottage, almost, yeah, it'd be 10 years. Um, and I have people like, oh, coming up to me, oh,
yeah,
like, have you ever gone and fished over there in the kayak? Or do you fish over here? Oh, look at your setup. Oh, it comes, and it's like you see all sorts of guys, girls, you name it, even kids out there,
oh yeah,
heading out there with rods in their kayaks, PFDs on, and
yeah,
they're ready to fish. And it was like, wow. I even, my wife, they go out on the boat and they'd be like, yeah, we just crossed like a whole group of them. Like there's 5 guys out there,
yeah,
in these kayaks and fish finders and everything. And I just like it probably is evolved, just for you. You know what I mean? Like you probably don't look at it maybe the same way that it was looked at when you first got into it. This idea that it was this, a smaller group, wasn't always
yeah,
heard of. And then all of a sudden now it's like kayak fishing is like it's taken over, it's really
exactly.
gained some ground here, especially in Canada. Um,
Yeah,
so, but
I,
yeah,
I I think like really in Quebec, it really like started like 2 years ago, when we did our first trail. And like I remember, like our events used to be hard to sell out, and now we'd sell out a trail, which was 3 tournaments over the course of the summer. We'd sell it out in 20 minutes because we create a hype before it. Hey, we're coming out with this new platform, and it's going to be limited space. And now, 2 years ago, there were 30 teams. Last year, there were 35 teams. This year, we're at 45 teams. So 90 anglers participating for the trail at every tournament. It's amazing. Like, and to see, it's not just people from around Montreal. There's people coming from Quebec City, from the eastern townships, Sherbrooke, Gatineau, Ottawa, and now we've got even some guys from Cornwall that are on the tour, on the trail with us. So we're getting, recognition a little more from for a little team of guys that are fishing, creating tournaments, and we're getting a lot more recognition than we have in the past years, and that's giving us a lot more visibility within the small community of fishermen, kayak fishermen in Quebec as well.
And it's funny because you go and you see it online, like you guys, like, because Team Brothers has got like a very solid following online.
Yeah.
It's very well represented online too, and presented
Hmm.
with its content, which is, it's great to see that, because at the same time there's a lot of trails that don't really have that same um presence, you know what I mean, when it comes to online. Because really, at the end of the day, like, you could go and do marketing, and you would see that, like, social media is just about the easiest free way for you to gain any traction through uh acquiring a greater crowd or a greater presence with your interest. But what I think is cool about the Team Brothers Fishing Trail is, you have 45 teams, 90 anglers that compete on the same body of water. And the cool thing I like about it is it's a team thing.
Yeah.
Now, and you've obviously got, like you said, you have anglers from all over.
Yeah.
You're actually gaining traction in the Ontario side, because, like you said, you've gained the attention of anglers in Ontario to come fish in Quebec on this trail circuit.
Yeah. I think what really makes the difference is people are looking for different opportunities to go fishing, and we
Yeah,
have live events. So it's not an online event. It's not, and nothing against online events. They're necessary to keep, you know different things, and to broaden the horizons that you can have kayaker
yeah,
or anglers on. uh, but live events will always attract the people, and you get to meet other people, and you get to discuss, and I think that's what makes our success, is the fact that it's a live event. It's you know it's really a big family. We're not, we don't think we're better than anybody else. Our organizers are participating in the tournament, and they don't always win. And
that's fish.
that's fishing, and it's not always the guy that has $25,000 worth of equipment on his boat that wins the tournament either. And this year we actually have three youngsters, that are part of the trail, and I'm partnered up with one of them for the trail. His name is Alec, and it's his first year. He's 15 years old, first year in a trail, first year really kayak fishing. He worked all his butt off last year to be able to buy a kayak, and very proud to be his partner, and can't wait to see him grow in the sport. And he saved our butt last tournament. He got two fish, and I only got one, and he put us way
Nice.
up, or more on the board than I did. And it's really like that. It's really, that's what's fun about a team tournament, is that if I'm not having a good day, if my method is not working today, and his is, well, we have a chance.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of it's a cool format, and I'll be honest with you. I'm not a tournament angler by any means. I'm a guy who goes out there and I fish the river. I chase smallmouth, and you know that's what I like to do.
Yeah.
I'm more of an adventure paddler, but I do like I gotta say I do like your or Team Brothers platform that you guys have, like to have a team aspect in it, like that's cool. Like to have, you could be, and so that's the next thing. Like, so you want to participate in this, you want to be part of Team Brothers. Like, how do they pick the teams? Like, do the anglers pick their, or is this like
Yeah. Anglers pick their own partners, and then they register on our website for the tournament, and then we attribute the team numbers. And then how we do our tournaments is really just it's not a shotgun start. It used to be shotgun, but we started pools. So your names are drawn, and then you're drawn in pool A through E, and then
oh,
9 teams at a time leave. And then the next tournament, if you were picked in the first pool, you have less of a chance of being picked again for the first pool. So we do a lot of mathematics in there in our drawing system, and so you could have started the first pool, the first event, and then starting the last pool, the last event. But the pools leave every 5 minutes, so it's not really a big issue, I find, with regards to that. You get 5 minutes more to fish if you leave 5 minutes after the first team. So sometimes you can catch that late afternoon bite, and I think you have as much chance as anybody else to catch the fish. And the
now
other thing is that we have no motors
I was
in
gonna
in
ask
Team
that.
Brothers. So
Wow.
all of our Team Brother events have no engine, no motors allowed. This year, next year we're allowing them, but this year there's no motors. So somebody who has a motor is not necessarily benefiting from an early start and can get on his spot quicker than anybody else because he has a motor. So that helps a lot with other people.
Okay, so that was actually what I was gonna ask you. Human power is it's different. Like you
Yeah,
can paddle as far as you want. It's you're the one that's got to do it, or you got to pedal as far as you want.
yeah,
Now motors are becoming very present in kayak fishing. A lot
yeah,
of people are heading that way where they want to start to use motors. They are, everybody's kind of jumping on the Newport or the Torpedo, or some people are doing the whole do-it-yourself
yeah,
rigging, and if you do that, make sure you understand how electricity works and all that, because you'll find out real quick that what you thought was good is not good.
yeah,
And but if you are serious about motors, I think it's probably something I will definitely be heading into, just because it seems like it would be a worthwhile investment for covering water for sure. I love to paddle. I love to pedal. But this could also bring, if you like, so you're going to have, obviously, do you think that might change the start time if you're running different pools, you know what I mean? Because you may have anglers who, let's say, don't have motors, and then you may have anglers that do have motors, you know what I mean? Do
yeah.
you think that could be a potential for,
Well,
maybe an issue?
we I think it's just a repeat of when the pedal drives came out, and people were like, "Well, I'm paddling, you're pedaling.
Yeah.
It's not fair. You're going faster than I am," and
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's this. I think we're gonna most guys, and I'm like, I know it's not everybody. Most people have a pedal drive today, and the motors aren't. You can't really go that fast
No.
with a motor. Um, I mean, the guys who DIY it, maybe they'll probably be faster than somebody who has a motor guide or somebody who has a Torpedo. I mean, the Torpedo will get you good speed, but then you have limited battery, you have drag with your pedal drive, you have, different types of things. And I think, like, this is my first year on a pedal drive, and I've paddled every other year. So I liked paddling, but I'm a 50-year-old guy. I'm not necessarily that in
Yeah.
shape to be able to go to paddle for 2 hours or an hour and a half to go to the end of the lake. I'm more of a, you know what? There's fish everywhere in this lake. I don't have to go that far to have some fun and fish.
So let's just touch on something here.
Sure.
You have this absolutely gorgeous red blue sky.
Yeah.
And I just want to ask you, when you were picking a kayak, because the blue sky in my opinion is in a league of its own.
Yeah.
And I have spent time out in a blue sky. But like what drew you to the blue sky, just since we're on the topic of kayaks right now? Like, because there's a lot of a lot of others, but like the blue sky, like it's a platform, like it's a straight
Yeah.
up platform to fish off of. So what was like your initial like thought process on that?
I was looking for something stable. I got a scare last autumn. I flipped my kayak in very cold water, and I swore to myself I was never going to do that again. So I wanted something that was very stable. So I started looking at all the kayaks that were coming out and looking at YouTube videos on performance and reviews of different types of kayaks. And then I narrowed down my choice to like a Jackson Nar, the Titan X from Native,
Yeah.
uh, and the Blue Sky, and they're all similarly priced boats. I mean, the
Hmm.
Blue Sky might be a little more expensive,
Yeah.
but like if you compare the price of a Blue Sky with the boats that came out this year at ICAST, it's pretty much the same price.
Yeah.
And so, but I really was looking for something very stable, something that I'm a chunky guy. I want it to be stable. I want to be able to stand up in the boat without feeling, I don't have sailor feet, so I don't want to feel the shaking or anything like that. And I want to be able to move around the boat. And the Blue Sky just became the obvious choice at that point, where, you know, I personally alone, I would not be able to flip that boat. I would fall off the boat before I could flip it, and it's much easier to get back into or onto once you fell in the water than any other craft.
I like re-entry is just such an important thing
Yeah,
to practice. Don't let your first time be the first time you do it, obviously.
exactly. Yeah,
I had Chuck Earl on here, and he is all about water safety. Jeff Little's another one too, who talks a lot about that. Just to give those guys a little plug on that, but to
yeah.
actually try and flip a blue sky over, wow, I couldn't.
There's a YouTube video about it.
Okay, so
Two
I have to check that out.
two gentlemen had to manage to do that.
Okay, so that's what I was like. Would you probably need another person? But
Yeah,
um, no, like, and at the same time, like, dude, like that's it's sad to say, but like we're all kind of like borrowed time before we go for a swim. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's gonna happen, and it's not gonna be the time that you really want to take that swim. Like you're on the river. It's August, it's July, it's like 45 degrees out, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I can't wait to take a
yeah,
dip," and you're just like, boom, in there.
yeah,
I do that. I do that a lot. I'll be, out there, and then it's like, Adam's got to take a dip, and it's like,
yeah,
if it's not a shallow spot, I'm like, all right, well, we're going in there and we're getting back in.
yeah,
But like for I spent at the Jackson Kayak Frontenac day that we had, the demo
Yeah.
day, which, you came out with your Blue Sky. That's where I actually had seen it for the very first time
Hmm.
in person. And I was like blown away. And I wasn't just blown away by the blue sky. It's just what you've done with it blew me away. Like, you had black packs on it,
Yeah.
you've got, electronics on this thing. You are set up for success, and I gotta ask you, like, when it came to rigging this, like, this had to be a thought out process here. Like, like, you had to do a little trial and error. Like, you
Well,
already had a vision.
I had a vision, uh, and it didn't fulfill itself because I really wanted to keep an Orion cooler on the front of it, and to be able to build off of the cooler and off the floor. And they're like, oddly, I have to say, I didn't have enough space to do everything that I wanted to do. So the cooler kind of took was put aside, and then I got a 13 by 16 black pack with a short stack over it, and
Yeah.
plugged in my electronics, and that's what you saw at Frontenac.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, I'm the kind of fisherman that brings way too much stuff with me when I go fishing.
You like to be prepared, man. Come on. There's,
Well,
that's
that's the whole thing. What if the bite is on something that I didn't bring? So I want to make sure that I have everything that I need, and in triples, just in case I get bit off. Because I have the lucky for somebody would say, or unlucky habit of fishing for bass but catching pike.
oh, that's like Canadian fishing, isn't that? Like,
I think that's the definition of Canadian fishing if you open it in the dictionary. And so I lose a lot of lures that way.
it happens, there those what's that term? Snot rockets,
Yeah,
gators, northern gators. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I too lose quite a bit of tackle actually. I either get it stuck in a log jam, or but I think a lot of the time too, if you're not getting your bait to the fish live in the structure, so there's a
yeah,
good chance you're gonna get hung up.
yeah.
So
You got to take the risks.
you gotta get that stuff. You got to get it down there. That's how you're gonna catch them. Like, you're gonna lose some. So
Yeah,
yeah, I definitely have lost my fair share of like baits, and it's just like, but yeah, no, pike, it's so annoying. And sometimes too, when I know that, like, it's just like a certain bait that I'll be throwing, and I'm like, I know that there's pike in the area, or I know that, like, they're really trying to hit this.
hmm
I'll just go and, like, instantly, yeah, I'll just put on a small steel leader, and that way, at least if he does take it, like, then, okay, whatever, I can send him on its way. I'm not losing the lure at the same time. Um, but yeah, like, I remember your set, like, when we looked at your setup, and I'm like, dude, you got, like, you have the entire, like, Daiwa Tatula Elite Series setup.
almost. Not
Okay,
all of it.
okay, sorry. You almost have the entire setup. Like, that it's such a sweet lineup. I love those rods. I have a couple of them myself, but you know, you like, this is the fun about kayak fishing at best. At rigging, that I love to hear about, is you're doing it to what you want it to work. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, it's really to, it's that ability to, okay, like, when I reach around, my rods are here, or like, oh, I want my electronics right in front. I used
Yeah.
to love my electronics right in front. I actually moved my electronics actually closer to my seat now, so I can really look at it, and I downsized it just a bit so that it's more functional for what I want it to do. um Yeah, and like Orion, like I love those coolers. I don't personally own one, but I know quite a few people that do, and it will be my next cooler, if not this season, next season, because they're perfect for the adventure. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
They it's unreal how well they keep your, like, you could have ice in there for days and it's just like
days on
you're
days on days.
and it's not melting. So now, so you're running, the pedal drive, the flex drive through Jackson. That
Yep.
Mark IV is smooth. Question: did you change or upgrade the pedals at all, or did you leave the pedals, the actual like pedals?
I
Um,
left the original pedals on.
okay, okay, yeah. So I upgraded mine. And if you're ever thinking to do that, mountain bike pedals work.
I have a spare set at home that I
Yeah,
carry all the time just in case.
yeah, so I was gonna say that because I found out the hard way, and
Yeah.
I didn't have an extra set, but I also didn't have the proper tools
Yeah.
to be able to that 15 millimeter wrench and that 6 mil Allen key that I needed. I didn't have, and yeah, so preparation on Adam's part down. Um, but no, the flex drive it's an awesome drive. Like this is for me the first flex drive, or sorry, the first pedal drive kayak I've ever owned was the Bite FD. But
Hmm.
I've been out, I've taken the NAR out, I've experienced even like the big rig. Actually I did the big rig with the original drive, which was cool. The Kusa FD, I did that one. Um, and it was cool. But the new flex drive, the Mark IV,
Yeah.
man, that thing is smooth. Like it is, it, and it's fast. Like
It, it
you can boogie in that thing.
it is fast. Last tournament, when my pool started, all the guys were around me and they were like, we'll see you. We'll see you later. Once you start." And I'm like, you don't realize this thing is fast, even though it's heavy. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's hard. It's tough to start, but once you're on, like I'm pedaling 3 miles an hour without any effort or
yeah,
barely any effort,
yeah,
and I have a 170-pound kayak. You have 100-pound kayak, and you're pedaling and you're seeing me catching you, and you're like, how is he catching me? Like I'm going as fast as I can on this pedal
yeah.
drive. So I'm like, you know what? Bite the bullet and just like carry on, and I'll just wave you when I pass you. And but you know, being old, I don't have the energy that these kids have, and so I just like go to my spot and spot somewhere that I want to go see, and I just like I'm not competing in the tournaments to win. And that's in my mind. Not that it's never going to happen. I've won tournaments in the past, but I don't want to do it for the win. I want to
Yeah.
do it for fun. And
It-
that's what I love about these tournaments. Like at $50 a pop, it's $50 to go have fun, but
yep.
with 90 other guys that are sharing the passion, and that you can have a drink afterwards and discuss the day. And yeah, it's fisherman's tales and everything like that. And yeah, it was a 30-inch pike, 30-inch bass, but it's really just the fun of it, and I just want to have some fun. And if my day finishes at noon, it finishes at noon. If I fish till 3 because I'm having a good bite and everything's going well, then I'll finish at 3. It's I just want to have some fun on the water.
you know, you bring up a great point, and I think just going back, you had brought up the fact that Quebec really has this this live event presence like it does. 45 teams, 90 anglers. You're going to get a good mix of obviously guys who are really guys and girls, I should say,
Yeah.
that are tournament driven. They are going to chase the leaderboard.
Hmm.
You will have also anglers that will most likely go out there and, they're new to the sport. They're trying to, you know, figure their own patterns out. They're using this opportunity to go and fish with others, get to know people. And at the end of the day, whether you're there to, chase the leaderboard or you're there to learn or whatnot, you're all there to have fun. You're all there
Yeah.
for the same reason. And that's the important part. The important part is to bring people together. Community is the most strongest part for all of this, because as fast as people come into kayak fishing, they sadly exit,
Yeah.
And the more we can give the opportunity to take part in, live events. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that, not taking part in a monthly event is, it's not the same atmosphere. You know what I mean? If I were to do any of it, I would say I would rather do a live event. Live events for me, back when I would do KAO, to me, that, and even like the Ontario Bassmasters series, yeah, like to me that was like that was fun. Like the you go out there, you're talking with people, you're meeting people. I still, and it's funny, I still talk with a lot of those people that I met that I would have never crossed paths with had I not gone to these events. And at the same time, the friendships that have formed because of this, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Yeah, it's really cool, to see that. And I think at the end of the day, like, it's important I really think it's important that we do have live events, because I would, they do have live events in Ontario for sure. Like, you
Yeah.
have other trails, such as like OKBT, and you have the
Yeah.
kayak. There's a new one too, the classic
Yeah.
classic kayak fishing. They're like a, very grassroots. And
Yeah.
then you have other groups out there. I'm just drawing a blank on some of them. And then you have
Yeah.
groups like Hard Knocks. Hard Knocks is like, your basic, we go out there, we paddle, we have fun. You can pedal, motor, whatever you want to do. It's just go out, meet out. It's grassroots. It's just about getting out there and having fun. um I just don't think you always get that through the onlines. I think the online is, it's good. It's a great personal challenge if
Yeah.
you want to go out there. And at the same time, you can, you register, you pay, and you have an opportunity to fish whenever it meets your convenience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If, oh, I can't make that day to, this event, or your schedule just doesn't work out.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's why they're there. It's there for you to have fun, but at your own pace. You know what I mean? And hey,
Yeah.
if you really want to go out there and, I'm gonna say, just beat the leaderboard, you can definitely do it. You know what I mean? Like, it is at your pace. And that's, it's great too for people who are just entering the sport, because that's an
Yeah.
awesome way to go out there and be like, you know what? Today I'm sticking to a pattern, and I'm going to go and I'm going to do this, this, and this. I'm going to
Yeah.
try and I'm going to try and upgrade, or I'm going to try and actually catch 5 fish, or I'm going to try and, maybe just catch 2 fish. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, whatever, at the end of the day, it's there for you to, at your own disposal. And at the same time, like, as much as, like for Team Brothers Fishing, your opportunity grew even bigger with the Kayak Bass Canada, which is, I've said it before, is Canada's number one kayak bass fishing. It is a partner club of the very well known kayak bass fishing KBF. Chad Hoover started that. Came to Canada a couple of years ago. Aaron, Serge, Jason, Aaron Dodds, Serge Hayes, and Jason Brock, and Casey Ryan. These guys have put it together as, a platform for online, monthly winnings. And you are the on Quebec, sorry,
Yeah.
Quebec ambassador for that. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
very cool. um And at the same time, like that's, like that's two. Like you
Yeah.
represent Team Brothers Fishing, and now you represent another online trail. Uh, like like you're that's really awesome. And you're an ambassador. Like that. That there's a difference. Like there's pro staff or
Yeah.
promotional staff, but you're an ambassador. Like there's something to be said about that. I think
And
that's really give yourself a pat on the back, because that is very admirable of you. Because you, as an ambassador, you take that time for others. You're constantly promoting not just the club, but you promote the
yeah.
sport of kayak fishing, not just a single label. So yeah,
Yeah.
no, how is that? Like how did that all come about there?
Well, at first it started about 3 years ago with Team Brother Fishing, and I was really just like going to their events and helping them out, volunteering when they needed some help, and just like offering help to anybody who needed it. And I think that the fact that I'm not uh, um, I wasn't just thinking about myself and my own gear, and was thinking putting others needs before mine. Happened a couple of times. Like I had a place and somebody asked, this person really wants to do the tournament, and does anybody want to give their place up? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll raise my hand. Yeah, they can take my place. I'll still go, and I'll volunteer for that day. And I was really interested. It was a great group of guys at Team Brother Fishing, and um, I just approached them and I said, how do I become a member of this club? And then they reached out to me a couple of weeks later on, and they said, well, we'd really like to have you on as an ambassador for the club, and we love what you're doing. And it started like that, and then I learned about the online community, or the online tournaments from Kayak Bass Canada, and we went to the Chio events. And at their, like I said, like I don't fish on, like fishing an 8-hour tournament for me is a little too much, so I like to go like 4 or 5 hours or something like that. And I'd always come in early, and then I'd help out around the place, and help them set up, and
Yeah.
offer help to anglers coming in and taking their boats out. And it was really, I just find it's something, it's not a pay it forward, it's not, or anything like that. It's really just the person who I am. And I'm just like I'm a giving person, and I don't like to see people in a bad situation. So I'm always going to be willing to help, to give a hand. And that's what I did. And I think that got recognized. And that's how, after that, uh, Kayak Bass Canada approached me to become one of their ambassadors. I met Aaron a couple of times, and Serge, and Jason as well. And I think, well, from the way that Aaron had talked to me, it was like that I was an obvious choice to become a second ambassador, because there's already Anthony DeLuca, who's an ambassador as well for the for
Yeah.
the for the club in Quebec. And I think like I like being part of this community, and like I'm not looking for the recognition. That's why I'm like, even being part of this podcast today is an achievement for me, because it's not something that I planned on it wasn't like on my vision board to say I want to be on a podcast and
Yeah.
discuss fishing. The invite came as a surprise, and I'm super honored to be here.
Well, you know, um, for me, I would say that when I look at a lot of people, their involvement, your involvement is in this community, both, Ontario, Quebec, whatnot. Um, you know, I admire what you do. At the same time, I have to say that, the way that you present yourself, the way that you engage with others, you're to me, you're just a fantastic human. Like, you're just that. The energy you bring, and the spending that day at Frontenac together for the Jackson Kayak demo day, I remember seeing in a group message come up is like, boom, Remi's going to join us, and I was like, oh, yes, like this is gonna be great, and like this
Yeah.
is awesome. Like like yes, like I knew this, and you know what? I have to say, I had an absolute blast that day. It was so fun hanging out, getting to know you,
Yeah.
just on more on a personal level, kind of, getting to chat and even, because, yeah, we crossed paths at the Chio event, but like the Chio events, like, you're running around, you're doing stuff, you're talking with people, and then like I'm running around doing stuff. And
Yeah.
it's as much as people think you go to these events to you may not fish. It's because you're taking time to go and actually like help make these events successful, so that people have an opportunity to go out and fish, whether it's alive, or in also just your knowledge for the sport, but also being part of two very successful organizations. That's something to be very proud about. And
Yeah.
I think if we need, like I said, I always say we need more anglers out there, that are like this, and there are a lot of amazing people, so I don't want to take away from that. But what I want to say is, I am grateful to have you as a friend, but at the same time, I knew exactly. I was like, yeah, I got to get Remi on this, because like if we're gonna talk kayak fishing, especially Quebec, like
Yeah.
it's neat, it's growing, and you hear about it all the time, in Ontario, and then you hear about it out west, and then you go down to the States, and it's even bigger, and
Yeah.
it's so. But I do have to ask you, with you know like what is your season like, what like when you look at your season for kayak fishing, like you've also, I was just gonna, because you do tournaments, so
Yeah.
you had gone and done a recent tournament in New York there. I think it was in May, and you went with
Yeah. With
Antoine,
Antoine,
Christian.
Chris Gervais, and
Yeah.
Stéphane Blais.
Yes.
Uh,
And kayak the Elite Kayak Fishing
it was
Series,
Elite Kayak Fishing. Yeah. EKF.
which is run by a fellow Jackson teammate, um, Ken Wood.
Yeah.
He and I believe there's another gentleman, Terrence
Yeah. Terrence. Yeah.
Terrence Davis, I think is his name.
Terrence Davis. Yeah. I think so.
Yes. And so like I gotta say, like you're breaking into new waters here. Like, what was that like? Like, and it's kind of cool because for us, and up here in Canada, like our season, really doesn't, for bass fishing,
Yeah.
unfortunately, um doesn't start until usually the third weekend in June,
Yeah.
where you had the opportunity to go down in May, and cha-ching,
Yeah.
there's some bass down there that need to get hooked up on, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. It was really an initiative of Antoine, who just like threw out a post on Facebook saying, "Hey, there's this series in May. I'm itching for fishing. Who wants to come?" And then I just like raised my hand in the comments section, and like the next day I got a message from Antoine. He says, "Hey, Chris Gervais is interested and Stéphane Blais is interested. Let's organize something." And I'm like, I'm all in, all in. Let's
Nice.
do it. And I was really happy because I was taking the new boat, the new the blue sky out for a
Yeah.
first time, and I just got it and barely had anything on it. I had no electronics for that tournament. I had just a couple of rods, and I was really just like, it was an exploration, and I just wanted to take it out on the water. I was itching for a fishing, and it was an amazing experience to spend a couple of days with these guys, and fish a new body of water that nobody knew, um, and we got to meet amazing people, and it was a really great event to start off the season on. And it's like we're hoping to repeat it next year, so
Nice.
it's really something that's probably going to become, that we're probably going to be growing, like, in size of numbers of anglers from Quebec and Ontario that are going to be coming in to these tournaments that are early in the year. And and for us, like, it's new season. Like, I know in Ontario you have catch and release off,
Yeah.
like, off
Yeah.
season in certain areas, not everywhere, but in certain areas. We don't have that in Quebec. Like, fishing for bass does not start until June 15th.
Yeah. So the St. Lawrence River has an early season,
Yeah.
but it starts in January and it goes all the way till I think it's like May 10th, like the
Yeah.
first weekend in May or second weekend. But and then it shuts down and it technically largemouth opens the third weekend in June,
Okay.
the third Saturday in June, and then the second Saturday, I think it is in July, smallmouth actually opens.
Okay.
But you also got to be brave enough to go out there.
Yeah.
Those water temperatures are they are nowhere near summer temperatures. So, um, yeah, I would personally love to be able to get out there and chase because, like, at that time, like early spring, like you have the opportunity to catch some big fish,
Biggins.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and um at the same time, I kind of look at it like, I'm not a fan of, like, I don't ice fish.
Hmm.
And
Me
it's not
neither.
because I just, it's not for me, but I don't want to end up in the water. I don't want, cold water just,
Yeah.
there's a little bit of a fear factor, I think, there to it. But, yeah, it is cool that Ontario has that, but New York State is I spend also a lot of time fishing in New York, upstate New York. I've been kind of getting further and further down. I'm hoping maybe to make it to the Susquehanna River. I don't know if that's going to happen this year,
Mhm.
but yeah, I think a lot of people would see how much fun it is to go and like fish because in New York they in like Vermont and other places like a lot of times while we're still in the no fishing season, they're all out there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of tournaments that start early in the year, obviously like further south,
Yeah.
but it is cool to see more and more Canadians, like Jamie Stevenson. She was just posting about doing, I think it was like one of the Hobies, um, the Hobie BOS down. I know Antoine. He was chatting with me about the St. Lawrence River, the Elite Kayak Series,
Yeah.
and that I want to say that was like back in August. But yeah, no, I think it would be cool to like just, drive down south and go out and try a new body of water or a river
Yeah.
system or a lake that, a reservoir or whatever, and like fish when, because man, we spend so much time in the snow, you know what I mean? Like
I
we're
know. Yeah.
as soon as our season starts, I feel like it's ending, and I don't know if this is maybe I don't know if you feel this way, but like the moment our season starts, I feel like the less time if you spend on the water, but before you know it, it's like it's already like September, and then
Yeah.
it's already, and then you start to get into the colder months. You got less daylight,
Yeah.
and you're battling, and I was like, oh man, like I feel like our seasons just fly by, like it's as soon as we're out there, it's like and then it's like boom, all of a sudden it's like cold weather, daylight's changing, and
Yeah.
yeah, the bite obviously starts to get the fall feed is always fun to go out there with.
Oh, you bet.
Um, but yeah, no, the U.S. Offers a lot of cool spots too. And like I said, if you ever get the chance, go down. Like the Adirondacks is
Yeah.
amazing. Loads of rivers, loads of back lakes, and if you want to fish, like if you want to go and like catch trout, you can go and do trout.
Yeah.
Want to go catch smallies, you can catch smallies, largies, pike, muskie. Yeah, it's a really, and it's neat because you're out there, like it's the mountains, you know what I mean, and you
Yeah.
don't always get to see that. So I did want to know, if you had a spot in Quebec, like what's like one of your favorite spots to go fishing in Quebec?
That's a tough one because like there's so many, like every time I hit a new spot, it becomes my new spot. So like
Well,
I had a lot of fun on Lac de l'Argile, which was our last tournament, Clay Lake that it's called, and that you can find it. It's in Papineau, little like a little north of Ottawa. And
okay, yeah, yeah.
I had a lot of fun on that lake. It's a smaller lake, but deep lake, lots of structure, like huge cliffs on the side, rocky cliffs, great, great bassery, and yeah, I just had a lot of fun on that lake. But like my all-time, like it's like the St. Lawrence is the same thing. Like I go out there and there's so much fish. Like I love. I don't have a specific lake that I like always go
Eh,
back to.
that's fine. um I don't know, like when you look at having that one body of water,
Yeah.
there are people that are like that. They're just
Yeah, of course.
go and fish it. I like the adventure of new water and what it brings, and there's a lot of places in Ontario I like to fish.
Yeah.
If I'm on the Quebec side, I'm usually out near Dundee, Quebec.
Okay.
So Lake St. Francis there. Uh, and yeah, you can go out there and you can hammer largies, you can hammer smallies, you can pike, muskie, perch, walleye, you name it. Like um, there's just such a vast community of fish that you can go and catch. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
but that's pretty neat. Now, I got to ask too, because we were chatting about Team Brothers here. When you
Yeah.
guys go and pick these spots, like your locations,
Yeah.
um, are they different every year, or do you kind of hit the same? Like, do you guys go and hit the same lakes and rotate them, or
We try it. Well, we've only had the trail for 3 years now, so we've tried. Right now, we're rotating on a couple of lakes, but every year we try to find a new lake that we've never been to. Um, but what's really important for us is that the lake has campgrounds on or very near the lake, because not everybody, like I said, like there's people from across Quebec that come and fish our tournaments. So we want to be able to make sure that they don't have to leave at 2 o'clock in the morning from their house and make it drive 2, 3, 4 hours to make it to the launch for 7 o'clock. And so we want to make sure that there's a campground, and um, that people can camp there the night before, 2 days before. They can spend the whole weekend, and and then we have like we'll have a party or a bonfire or anything like that around the our campgrounds, and just meet people and shake hands. And talk. You know, a lot of new anglers are coming on, and you know, it just gives you a chance to meet and greet and talk to everybody. And that's what's really, you know, fun about these live events is that it's not just the tournament; it's everything that surrounds the tournament.
It's so true. It is so true that the camaraderie for the anglers, you know, the conversations you're going to get into, the people that you're going to meet, and you never know, you might just walk away, you know, with new angling buddies, you know,
Yeah,
people that you can get out there with, and or you might learn some new tricks. You know,
yeah.
I really think your guys' Team Brothers Fishing format is really neat. Like to have a team event like that. That is, and you know what? The other thing I wanted to ask you is, so you were talking about like your sign up. You know what I mean? Like when it gets to that point in the year, you guys generally have like you'll go and post. You know, you'll make your big post about who wants to sign up
Yeah.
as a team, and then you know obviously you pay your fees or whatnot, and then now you've solidified a spot where you really, you know, let's say, oh, Adam wants to sign up to fish Team Brothers. You know, would I be able to, or unfortunately I think I probably have to wait till next year, right?
At this point, at this point, the trail is closed. We have our
Yeah,
45 teams. So,
yeah,
but we Steve Pelican, who's the team principal, is really like he starts in January. He starts talking about the trail that's coming up, and and like registration will start in February
yeah,
because we like it's the dead season for us. In winter, like some people will ice fish, like you said, and I'm not personally. I don't like. I have a kayak because I can move around the lake.
yeah,
Uh,
yes,
I don't like standing at the same place and then having to rip down the whole tent and then put it somewhere else and drill new holes. And
yeah.
I, ju- I
Yeah, I can't do it.
and I think that, you know, it creates a hype, and
It
that's
does.
what that's what I really love about. And but if you wanted to register for a tournament, you have to schedule your time and put it down on your calendar by 10 a.m. I have to register for this tournament because 20 minutes later it's going to be sold out.
You know, there's a couple events that that really sell out. Um, one of them in Ontario that can, like, I don't know how many years in a row now it's sold out, is the paddle sport get together by Peter Young. That
Okay.
thing sells out crazy. Like he sends out, you know, he'll send out like this is your registration date, and like they sell out. But I can't get over how fast the Team Brothers trail sells out. So like these guys are already strategizing on teams, you know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
my point being is, if you're thinking to sign up for Team Brothers next year, you know, got to get your ducks in a row, in a line here. Like got to get on top of it, because you, like you said, it does. And I don't know if you follow any of the Team Brothers online. Um, you know, and Remi can probably tell you this too, is that you'll watch it and it's just like boom, 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 sold out. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's impressive. Like that's got a very strong following that way. You know what I mean? There's obviously other events too in Ontario that, you know, like the Chio event this year, it sold
Yeah.
out really quick. Um,
A big event that we're having this weekend is the Unity tournament,
yes.
which is a tournament, a collaboration between Kayak Bass Canada and Team Brother Fishing, that we organized over the past year, and we have 60 anglers, 30 teams, so it's a team event again, a live team event at Lac des Sables in Saint Agathe, and this one sold out in a couple of minutes too,
Yeah,
and we've
there's
got teams from across Ontario and Quebec.
Yeah, the like I'm just like looking at the website here, but
Yeah,
you know, there's, yeah, you've got teams like you said, you have your You got your Ontario, you got guys from Ontario, you got guys from Quebec. Unity, that event, it's cool because you're bringing two communities together. You got Kayak Bass Canada, which is obviously a online organization, well known as a partner to KBF,
Mhm.
and then to see it also now come into form with um, Team Brothers Fishing, which has a tournament trail of team style fishing, into Unity, which is like to unite, like to bring two provinces together, to bring anglers from all over and fish. That is cool. Like that is, that's what I'm talking about. Bringing communities together, bringing people together, and that's important. And it's cool
Yeah.
to see. It's really cool to see people do that. And we wish you nothing but success on that event. You are going to be fishing with Anthony DeLuca, correct?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So you're gonna have, just so the everybody here is gonna hear this. This is the Kayak Bass Canada Team Brothers Fishing Ambassador, Kayak Bass Canada Quebec Ambassador Team. There you go.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
That's a
cool.
mouthful.
That's I know, I was like almost like a tongue twister there. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
But no, dude, that's cool. That's really really neat. So I do have to ask you, with this approach, um it now and where, okay, so that one is where again? Sorry.
At the Lac des Sables
Okay,
in Saint Agathe.
nice. So this, do you think will most likely become a annual kind of event like that you guys will do with in partnership with each organization?
What has been discussed between both clubs is that each year we're going to alternate the province that hosts the tournament. So this year Quebec is hosting. So Team Brother Fishing is hosting the tournament. So we're doing the tournament in Quebec. Next year it's going to be KBC who's going to be hosting the event. So we're going to have a lake in Ontario for next year.
Ooh. Now, so you have Unity, you have the Team Brother, just the regular Team Trail.
Yeah,
Okay. So then there's Kayak Survivor. Then
yeah,
there's Frozen Bass. I'm
yeah.
just curious, like, is there anything I need to know also here? Like, explain to
Well,
me, Kayak Survivor, like, are you guys
uh,
all huddled on an island here with
I'll
you
start
know?
off with the frozen bass. The frozen
Okay.
bass is the culmination of the trail. So the top 20 teams of the trail are eligible for frozen bass. And then frozen bass will determine the team of the year for our tournament for our trail.
Okay.
So that's where you determine which is the top team. And so that's an event, and we call it the Frozen Bass because it's in October, and chances are it could snow. Um, you never know. In October, I'm born in October. I've had snow the next day on my birthday, so
Okay. Well, ooh, like
you never
and,
know. So that's why we called it the Frozen Bass. But the Kayak Survivor is a new format that we're coming out this year. So it's a 6-man team, best 5 stringer, but then there's 10 teams, so 60 anglers on the lake. The last 4 teams at noon, the last 4 teams are eliminated,
oh
and then
wow.
the clocks are reset to 0, and then you start a new stringer
Oh, Jesus.
up until the next 3 hours or 4 hours, and then the last the bottom 2 or 4 teams get eliminated at 3 o'clock, and then the top 2 teams or 3 or 4 teams, I can't remember exactly, will fight until 7 o'clock at night. So we start at 7 in the morning, finish at 7 o'clock at night, in
So
October,
you're finishing in the dark.
finishing in the dark, and the top team wins all.
Wow.
So they are the survivors of the
Cool.
tournament.
Yeah, that's so do the other teams, is it going to be like the classic Survivor where they like the tribe has spoken and then boom.
I don't know if we're
You
going to
know?
have the time for that, but it's going to be really you have and you have to come back to the launch like every time that there's a cut. You have to come back to the launch so that everybody starts back at this from the same
Yeah.
place.
So you
And
can't
you
just
can't the thing that's going to be fun with that, and I find personally which is going to be fun, is that you can't sandbag.
yeah, he's oh,
You can't
there's a
you
topic
can't
there.
hold on to a fish because you're going to get a new identifier for the next round.
Yeah, that and you know what? That's a good point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, sandbagging is like a rabbit hole conversation that
Oh, definitely.
you could go on for hours on that. Um, but yeah, it's no, like it really looks like if you like I said, if you're interested in getting involved in the Team Brothers Trail, fishing it, you know, Remi is, you know, he is your point of contact. You know, I will make sure to link all of his stuff in the description down below. At the same time, if you are new to kayak fishing, and you know, this is the gentleman to talk to. If you're in Quebec, also if you are into the online and you're looking to do Kayak Bass Canada monthly events, monthly challenges,
Yeah.
online, Remi, Anthony DeLuca, both hold the ambassador status um, for Kayak Bass Canada in Quebec, and they can help you with any questions you have. You know, and a lot of these guys, you probably cross paths with them out on the water, or you might have already, you know, I'm sure they'll be um, every everybody knows who Remi is. You know what I mean? Like he's Remi. You know, like you just want to hug the guy. He's so awesome. Um, but yeah, you like that's what ambassadors are there for. Like they're there to help you with your questions regarding the group, whether it's Team Brothers Fishing or Kayak Bass Canada. They're there to help you out with your questions. Now, as we come to the end of this podcast, Remi, I want to thank you for coming on by the River Run podcast. And at the same time, I'm going to let you just shout out any people you want to, you know, say hello, hi, you know, thanks. Make sure you listen to this, you know, like it's the stage is yours, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Well, first off, I want to thank Team Brother Fishing for giving me for believing in me, and all the crew that we have. I mean, Steve, Alex, um, Big Ben, uh, Patrick. I'm gonna forget some of them. Sean Simon, an amazing guy. Gilles, Serge, Martin, Stéphane. They're a great family, a great bunch of guys, and Sophie and Valerie, who's Steve's girlfriend. They're all like they're all part of the family, and they're always there every weekend. And uh, it's really just a great group of guys. And obviously, like, I'd love to thank Aaron Dodds and Serge Parody from Kayak Bass Canada, who've been great supporters of mine and believed in me and have helped me, expand my horizons in this sport. And I'm just really thankful for everybody who kayak fishes and comes to say hi. And I just have a lot of fun with everybody. There's no bad blood or anything like that. I love everybody there. And that's about it. I'd like,
Well,
oh yes, one more thing. Sorry.
nice.
Team Masca Fishing was a little sponsor of mine. Donald Beerworth and the whole crew there. Love the guys. And I guess that's about it.
Well, I gotta say, like you, well, they know Remy. Like so if you're at an event and you don't know Remy, you make sure you go up and you just say hello, because he'll most likely have already said hello to you, asked you how you were doing today and
Yeah.
how it went out there. Like, that's Remy. Um, but yeah, no, I gotta thank you for coming on by the River Run podcast, dude. It has been an absolute stellar episode sitting down with you. And it's always fun to chat with friends, especially, I know we're always busy we're all over the place. We have lives all outside of this, and
Yeah.
it's this has been fantastic, and it was really cool, like, just like Team Brothers Fishing. But no, at the end of the day, thank you. And don't forget, to all you out there listening, watching, go and check out the fine library of episodes of Paddle and Fins. We got shows every night of the week. The River Run podcast, you know where to find it. The River Run podcast is on Instagram. Check it out. And also Facebook page, the River Run podcast. You can find all your up-to-date stuff about the River Run podcast, guest shows, and you can, like I said, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Check them out. We are here. This is the River Run Fishing, done by the Paddle and Fin, and we are just a weekly podcast talking about kayak fishing. And I thank each and every one of you for stopping by the River Run podcast. Thank you, and we will see you soon, right, Remy?
You bet. On
All
the
right.
waters.
On the water. See you soon, brother.